Well, things got better for Baker Mayfield very quickly. If you did not catch the game last night, you missed something special. Um, Baker Mayfield essentially gets released by the Panthers. My Carolina Panthers gets released by them earlier on this week. I think it was Monday. And, he really had a tough time in Carolina. He did not play well at all. It is not all his fault, but he did not play well. Lots of bad coaching, a bad environment. We all know the Matt Rule story. He got released by Carolina. But Baker gets released. He was 1-5 as a starter there. He looked bad. His technique looked bad. It was not encouraging. At no point was Baker Mayfield a world beater in Cleveland, but he did have some very good moments that really had a lot of Panthers fans excited, and thought that maybe he would, give him a chance. But that did not happen. Baker, he had 1,300 yards passing, six touchdowns, six interceptions. Didn't look good. Panthers cut him, said, hey, man, you're not in the plans for the future. He understood, and he was a very good teammate. I want to make that clear. Baker was a very good teammate in Carolina. The guys loved him. He worked hard. It just didn't work out. So Baker gets cut, right? And 2 days later, he's picked up by the Rams. And Baker's on this team for what? 2 days, maybe? I think 2 days, 36 hours, maybe not even a full 2 days, I don't know. He's not even on this team that long. He comes in last night against the Raiders in a Thursday night game. Rams are playing at home. He comes in the second quarter to take over. And all the quarterbacks were active last night, but he comes in last night, takes over, and Baker Mayfield does what we thought he would maybe do in Carolina, what Baker would do in Cleveland sometimes. He brings the Baker magic. He's cooking. He's got 25 passes. He goes 25 for 30, 230 yards passing, and a touchdown. And including in that is a 98-yard touchdown drive and 8 plays to win the game. I think he threw a touchdown with about 10 seconds left. And this guy's been on this roster for about 2 days, less than 2 days. He leads a game-winning drive down the field, and you know what? It pains me to, see this because he didn't do this in Carolina, but at the same time, I'm very happy for Baker. You were starting to question what was going to happen with his career after his stint there in Carolina, but he comes back here and in one game just shows more than he ever showed in Carolina. For half the season he was there. So kudos to Baker. The team was fired up. And this is also just a very heartfelt moment for him. You weren't really sure what was going to happen with his career, but here we are. At this point, at least Baker, he could compete for a starting gig maybe, or at least he could be a backup somewhere because he was looking, like he might not even have a chance to play next year with the way he was looking. But this disproves that. Now, I understand, I'm going to back up a little bit. It's only been one game. And, it's against a Raiders team who has been on a little bit of a winning streak, but not one of the better teams. But this does give, a little bit of a spark of energy to Baker's career and what he does going forward. Matthew Stafford, obviously out for the year. Stafford is older. I don't know if they're going to go that route of, maybe keeping Baker as the backup. Maybe having a competition. I'm not sure yet, but it's too close to tell. It's only after one game. But I just want to focus on this one game and this one moment. I'm very happy for Baker. He looked great. He looked confident. He looked set. He looked, one of the things he didn't do in Carolina, he just didn't look comfortable. Now, I don't know if that was an indictment on Ben McAdoo's offensive play calling because the Panthers' offense has been horrendously bad pretty much all year. They started to pick it up as the year goes on, but, to begin the season, they were really, really bad. Even with Christian McCaffrey, they were bad. And, you take a look at, the way he looked comfortable in this pocket after only being within this system for 2 days, maybe at that. And it just goes to show, how important coaching is in the NFL. Now, I think you've seen a lot of bad football this year. A lot of teams are, 4-8, 4-9, 3 and whatever. There's a lot of 3, 4, 5 win teams out there in the NFL right now. The NFC South, for example, is the Bucs are leading the division at 6-6. So it just goes to show how bad the NFL is this year on some of these teams, and I think the reason for that is there's a lot of bad coaching going on. Okay, Matt Rule was not a good professional football coach. He may be a decent college coach, but we saw the ramifications of him being in Carolina for 2.5, 3 years, and it was not good. You bring in Ben McAdoo, who has had success as a play caller at some points in his career, but for the most part has not been a good head coach. Um, you know, Offensive play calling wise has been a struggle lately. And you get a guy like Baker who's, maybe not the best quarterback, but he's certainly not the worst. And he comes to Carolina and he's in this system that maybe just was not working for him, because I was there. I saw 2 games of him playing live in Carolina to the games I went. And it was tough to watch. I couldn't believe how bad he looked. I didn't know if he was still injured, if mentally he was, not there. If he just wasn't focused. I don't know what it was, but I couldn't believe how bad he looked. And I felt maybe he was washed, or I really didn't know how to feel. But this right here proves that within a half a season of coaching, pretty much a full training camp almost with a incompetent head coach versus 2 days with a very competent head coach, a Super Bowl winning head coach, that you're able to turn things around very quickly. And, we saw it with Jared Goff in LA, which, he wasn't the best, but McVay, the way that they ran the offense, the way that they schemed to his strengths, something that I don't quite understand with a lot of offensive coordinators in this day is they are not playing to the strengths of their players. You look at in Philly, they are playing to the strengths of Jalen Hurts. In Kansas City, they play to the strengths of Patrick Mahomes. It helps to play to the strengths of the skill set that the quarterback that you have. And in Carolina, they did not do that. And in this game, Baker he really works well in play action, work in the middle of the field, and that's some of the stuff that we saw. And also at the same time, his mechanics in this game looked 10 million times better than his mechanics looked in Carolina from the games that I watched. So all in all, it just goes to show 2 things. Baker still has it. We don't know if this is, there's still games left. We're going to see what happens. We don't know if he's back, essentially, but he can do some good things. And I think that's good for him because I like Baker. He was a really good teammate in Carolina, and he was a good guy. He was in a tough situation. It just didn't work out. But this goes to show that incompetent coaching is also a big trend in the NFL, and that if you have a somewhat decent head coach to a great head coach, you can do a lot of good things. And Baker was able to prove that. So excited for him. This is a huge indictment on the mess that the Panthers have been, and somewhat of the Browns have been as well. I know he had success in Cleveland, but let me know what you guys think. Baker Mayfield, is he back? Is he, is this just one game? Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for staying tuned with me here on Blue is Live. I know it's been a little bit of a downtrend in the content, but things are getting ready to turn back up. I've had a lot going on, but now that I'm settled, I know what's going on. I'm ready to come back and start making some videos. So we will see you guys next time.